welcome one and all to Locke Module 3. So, we are immediately following on from Module 2.
Yes.
Where we saw Locke reject the same body theory as the principle of individuation.
Yes, so the principle by which we identify things.
Yes, he's rejected same body theory.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in this next section of the text, we are going to see him eventually reject same mind / same soul theory.
Yeah.
Yep. So in order to do this, he seems to go through this kind of preamble where he talks about the thinking substance.
Yeah.
So the thinking substance, from my understanding, is the same thing as the mind or the soul, the part of us that thinks. And Locke believes that this exists in everyone. But his question is that what determines our identity?
Well, it's what exists in the person.
Sorry? Yeah, what did I say?
In a person.
Okay.
Not necessarily in a, because remember, you could be a man without being
Oh, sorry. Yes, so a person has a thinking substance.
Yes.
I.e. a mind or a soul.
Yes.
But Locke is eventually going to show that he doesn't believe that this is what determines our identity. So now he kind of engages in this discussion about what is this thinking substance?
Yeah.
Is it material, as in physical?
Yeah.
Or is it immaterial, as in, I guess, spiritual?
Well, he does refer to it in paragraph 12, which is on page 41, as an immaterial spirit. Yes.
So he as a dualist, obviously, is going to conclude it's immaterial.
Yes. So in that paragraph 12 is quite confusing, but my take on it and the whole point of the paragraph is to come to the conclusion that thinking substances are on the immaterial side of things. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So the next couple of slides, he just decides what this thinking substance is, and then he's going to go on to decide whether our consciousness or our mental connections always have to be attached to that thinking substance. Yeah,
I guess. And what he's going to consider in question 13 is kind of this...
Paragraph 13?
Paragraph 13 on page 42 is this kind of dilemma which is at the bottom of this slide. So he's ultimately thinking about whether we can switch the thinking substance and thereby switch the person.
Oh, so if my soul goes into you...
Yeah.
Has my person gone into you?
Yes. So...
And he's going to say no.
The implication of that is that, yes, is the thinking substance what determines identity, or can identity potentially, person, so that's what he's meaning by saying switch the person, switch the particular identity, is that instead determined by consciousness and something else.
Cool.
Okay. So the conclusion he comes to on this dilemma is at the bottom of paragraph 13 on page 42, and it's basically saying that consciousness is what's key. So the thinking substance can change. You can even have multiple thinking substances that are that the consciousness is preserved in, but what is key through it all is that your particular consciousness is preserved. Okay? And as long as that is maintained, you will maintain your person or your identity.
Okay.
So as part of this, and this is now in paragraph 14, he's going to consider whether the immaterial substance, so most likely a spirit or a soul, whether it can actually determine the person. Okay, and so this is what he's doing on page 43.
So meaning if you have the same soul, does that make you the same person?
Yes, but in particular I think what he's trying to get at is like, if you claim to be, and this is going to be in future slides, if you're claiming to be, and he gives quite a few examples in the text, but if you're claiming to be a particular person or have the soul of a particular person from way back, does that identity of that soul, so that name and that particularity, like, so say thinking that you're Socrates, does that make you Socrates through time? Does that identity
make you the same person
continue?
as Socrates?
Yes. So does that identity continue on?
So, sorry to be random, but isn't
Yeah.
this supposed to be the case with the Dalai Lama? Whoever's the Dalai Lama at the moment is supposed to be the reincarnation of all the previous Dalai Lamas?
Yes, I feel like I watched a movie about it. They're a young child who was the Dalai Lama.
Yeah, I hope I'm not making this up, but I'm pretty sure it's the case.
Mm.
So, like, Locke would say that the Dalai Lama is kind of saying, I've got the same soul as all these other Dalai Lamas that went before me.
Yeah.
Locke's question is, does that make you the exact same person as all those other Dalai Lamas?
Yes. So does that make you the Dalai Lama? Like, does that give you that person? Well, I guess do they have their own name, or is that their name?
Probably the title, isn't it?
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it doesn't
similar.
make you the
So
same
that's
person.
a similar, yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, so with this, it's key. This is actually his objection objection or his rejection to same soul, same mind theory. Okay? And this is just an important part of what he's going to do. So if you look at the top of paragraph 14, he's stating that this consideration of whether identity is based on the soul is based on the idea that consciousness could be stripped from an immaterial being such that it is starting a new account, and yet identity remains. So he's saying these people who believe they're, say, Socrates, are actually having their consciousness of Socrates stripped from them, but does their and being put into the new body, and does their identity as Socrates remain? Okay, and so this is the idea of same soul theory. Okay, which he's now going to rebut. Okay, so he's saying that same soul theory, they would have the belief that and it's what you were saying before, as reincarnation happens and you go into your new body, you're starting over. Okay, you don't have the same consciousness or the same memories of that past life.
Yeah.
You are the same as that past. The theory would potentially say you have the same identity as that past life.
This is what same soul theory would say.
Yeah, you have that same identity, but you don't have the consciousness and the memories.
Yep. So, Mr. Warwick, I see you've been just going around pretending to be Socrates lately.
I'm not pretending, Miss Fitz.
Yeah.
I am Socrates.
You are Socrates.
Yes.
You think you're Socrates.
Yes. Thousands of years ago, Socrates' soul that existed has now passed through all those years into me. So
Okay.
I am Socrates.
That seems realistic.
Yeah, totes.
So, I guess you're...
Clearly my wisdom comes through each and every day.
I guess you're subscribing to same soul theory in that case,
yes.
because you think your identity is Socrates' identity just because you have the same soul as Socrates.
So, yes, it is clearly the superior theory.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's accept that you have Socrates' soul. I mean, it's a big assumption, but
Oh no.
I'm just going to go with it.
All the wise people come from Queensland.
Oh, don't give me that rubbish. But let's just accept that for the sake of argument, that you have Socrates' soul.
Yeah.
So we need to think about what would Locke say about your personal identity.
Yes.
So you've got his soul, but do you have his consciousness? Do you have all his memories of
I do.
being himself? You
Yes, it was a tough time.
do? In ancient Greece?
Yes, and he had such a tragic death.
He did, but he accepted it pretty well, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah.
He did a lot of talking.
Yeah, he had a lot of loyal supporters.
Yes, he often just had these people he would talk to.
Shouldn't you be saying,
I did. I just had these people. I was never lonely. It was quite nice. Yeah.
Okay, so you have full consciousness of, being aware of yourself as Socrates.
Classroom. Like,
You just exude the Socratic kind of
you're
tendencies.
just standing there talking to my people.
Your loyal subjects.
Yes.
I think you should rise up and revolt against this Wanganui people.
No.
Anyway,
Yes.
we're getting carried away. So in that case, Locke would say you are the same person as Socrates, right?
Definitely.
Because you have the same consciousness, you have the mental connections to his experiences.
Definitely.
But look, let's be serious. Clearly, Mr. Warwick does not have consciousness of Socrates' life.
I just saw that in a movie.
Yeah, I know. You're so fraudulent.
Yeah.
He doesn't have those mental connections, even though he does have the soul, obviously.
Yes. Yeah.
He doesn't have the mental connections, really. And so I guess Locke would say that you are not the same person.
Yeah.
It's really weird,
So
though, isn't it?
therefore,
Because even though you're sharing the same soul,
yeah.
most of us would go, yeah, obviously you're the same person. Like, if the soul
Yeah.
exists and you share the same soul as Socrates.
Yeah.
Not according to Locke. He thinks you need to have the same mental connections to be the
Yeah.
same person.
And so therefore, same soul theory is wrong.
According to
That's also
Locke.
the implication. Yeah.
Cool.
So to conclude, he's basically saying here that even if you have the same soul, without the same consciousness, without those memories, it will not make the same person. Okay?
Yeah.
So the soul, and in terms of the conclusion about the soul and identity, the soul is not what will give you your identity. It is still your consciousness and your memories.